Hi guys, welcome to lesson 5 in creating the chicken and egg game in Game Maker. So today's lesson is all about objects, which we've already created a couple, events and instances. Now you will create instances of objects in the game. So you want certain things to appear, and in this game we have eggs and we have baby chickens falling from the sky, and we want to create those instances to appear, and we also want to reuse those instances. So when they fall out the bottom of the screen, we don't want they actually stay active in the game. There is a way to kill an object, but at the moment they're just staying active in the game, and we want to reposition. As soon as it goes out of the room, we want to reposition it so it starts back in the room, as well as creates new instances. So you're setting up a difficulty in the game by more things falling from the sky, and eventually the chicken has to avoid those. So the topics we're looking at are creating more objects, of which we've already created the chicken. That's the first object you created, and you got him to move, and that was through creating an event on that object. We're going to look at positioning and creating instances of objects. So when the baby chicken and the egg appear, they're going to appear at a certain position in the room, like magic. And we need to create those instances to appear. We're also going to look at setting up some timers. So that's the duration between when the first object appears or is created in the room, and then when a second one or a new instance of that object is created in a room. So we can set a timer up for that. And then we're going to look at reusing instances of objects. So for every one that's created, it will fall out the bottom of the screen, and then we want to reuse it, as well as create more. So eventually the screen is going to fill up with objects falling from the sky and making it more difficult for the chicken to avoid those objects. So there are our learning intentions: understanding how to position objects that appear in a room, understanding how to reuse object instances, learn about timers, and learn how to duplicate similar objects. So I'm going to create the egg object first, and then I'm going to program it. And then we're going to duplicate that egg object with the programming to create a new object and just modify the coding within that one to match the criteria. And that's going to be the baby chicken. So your success criteria, something you can gauge yourself on, is your ability to position an object to appear in the room. And if you follow the program and follow the coding and follow the video, you'll be successful at that. The second thing is programming the reuse of objects and instances. So they're for the things that fall out the bottom of the screen to get them to reappear and fall again. You'll do that through the successful setup of some timers, or actually the timers are set up to create each new instance of the object. And then use the duplicate menu item to duplicate the egg, which I'm going to create first, and create a new object for the baby chicken, and then just modify the programming within it. So that's our mission. Rightio, now that we've created the chicken object, we're going to create another couple of objects. We're going to create the egg and the baby chicken, which both fall from the sky. So the process is exactly the same. In the objects area, we might use this one this time. We're going to create object, and we'll call it OBJ underscore egg for this one. Choose our sprite, and we have an egg sprite, and we need to add some events to this one. So it's going to fall down from the sky. So we need to add an event, and what's going to happen is we're going to create an object. Okay, so we're going to create, it needs to be created so that it can fall down. So to that we need to add our fixed moving, and the egg's going to fall downwards, and we want it to fall downwards at a rate or a speed of 6. So that's just going to create one egg falling down. So we want multiple eggs to fall down, so we're going to create a timer. It's a new thing. So if we go again, I think in main 2, we have a timer, and the timer is going to relate to this object egg, and we're going to bring that timer in. It's going to apply to the self, which is the egg object. We're going to set the timer at 100 steps. Now I think there's 30 steps to a second, so this is about 3.5 seconds is going to be the timing. That's the way Game Maker works. And it's going to be on alarm 0. There are multiple alarms, but we're going to use alarm 0. So we click on that, and we've got an alarm in there. So that's setting up the scenario to create an egg every 3 seconds. Now we've got to add another alarm in to activate the one we just created. So if we go to Other, and we create, we go to Alarm, and we choose Alarm 0, which is the one that we're working on. And when that alarm goes off, we want it to create something. So if we go down to main 2, we've got a create instance here. So we bring that create instance over, and the object we want to create is the egg, and we've got to position that object. So we're going to say we've got object egg there. So we want to create an egg that appears randomly in the room's width, and the wording or the coding for that is RANDOM, and then open some brackets, and in there we put ROOM underscore WIDTH for width, and the area in the sky we want that to start at is going to be -30. And we click on OK. So if we test that, and it's good to test things as we go, we'll click on OK again, and hopefully I've programmed it right, and we'll come up to the icon here. Now I've had this error come up before, and the best way for me to solve that usually is to shut down, hit cancel, let's go File, save, and then I'm just going to, well, we might try running it again. We'll go run. Now we've got the error, so I've hopefully saved that egg. We'll shut that down, start up Game Maker again. Go File, Open our chicken and egg, and let's try running it again. So it looks like we've been successful this time, and we have our same environment, but I haven't put the egg into the room. So if we shut that down, we go to our room, and here we've got our object egg. We click anywhere, add one egg in, and click on save, run it again. and we've got one egg dropping down, then another egg dropping down, and then another egg dropping down. Now what it's actually doing is generating new instances of an egg every 3.5 seconds. Now even though those eggs are going off the bottom of the screen, they actually don't disappear out of the game. What we do want to do is reuse these eggs as well as generate new eggs. So we're going to use an outside room function to generate more eggs. So if we close that down and we go back into our object and our object egg, and we're going to add a new event, and it's in the other, and we do an outside room. So when we create our outside room, we want to set it up to reposition that egg in random room width again. So if we come down here, we've got a new thing to use. It's in the move area, and it's called jump to position. So we're going to change that egg that's falling down through the sky. When it goes off the screen or outside the room, we're going to get it to jump to a position. So we're going to reuse that egg. So again, it applies to self. And in here, we're going to go again, random, open this up, room underscore width, and same as we did before, I think we made it -30. And we will say OK, and OK again. And we will try running our game again. So we now have one egg, and hopefully when it disappears off the screen we get now 2 eggs, and when it disappears off the screen we should have extra eggs coming through all the time. This makes the game a little bit more difficult. It's reusing all of the eggs until they're destroyed, and eventually we'll have some collisions with the chicken. So in our room, now we've got our background all set up. We've got our chicken in there, and we've done some programming on both the chicken and the egg. And the egg is self-generating to create more. So the next thing we've got to do is the baby chick, and the baby chick is very similar. So I'll go and do that. Rightio, so to do the baby chicken, I'm going to try something a bit different that I showed you with sprites. And I'm going to select the egg, and I'm going to duplicate the egg. Now, this is going to be called obj underscore, I'm going to put b baby I'm just going to call it baby chicken. Okay, and we've got to change our sprite, and our sprite is going to be the baby chicken. Our moving direction is going to be down, and we're going to make it a little bit slower. So we'll just change the speed to 3 and say OK. Now our alarm in here, we're going to change it to 90, so a little bit less, and say OK. So all we're doing is basically the baby chicken is exactly the same as the egg, just a little bit different programming. So if we go back to this, I just want to change this to alarm 1, because alarm 0 is working on the egg. So we've got multiple alarms we can choose from, so now we're going to alarm 1. So if we go to now our alarm and create instance, and this time instead of the egg, because this is a copy, we're going to create more baby chickens, random room width is the same, and we're just going to change the position again to minus 20 and say OK. So this is, we might have to change this. So if we can change event, it is a alarm, and we actually want it to be alarm 1, which relates to our other alarm. Our outside room, jump to position. I'm just going to change it the same again as we did to the actual item where it's appearing, and we'll say OK, and let's see if we've been successful. So we'll click on OK there. Now remember, we've got to go back to the room, and we've got the baby chicken there. I'm just going to put 1 in the room and save the room, and then let's run it and see what happens. But yeah, so now we've got our egg coming down and our little baby chicken's running a bit slower. And as you can see, we've got more chickens falling down and more eggs falling down. So I've been successful in that duplicating. It's a really handy way to create something a little bit quicker, as the programming was basically the same. Anyway, guys, have a go at that one.